To a Form 2 subtopic on spreadsheet, that is cell reference, that is on Excel. I want to tackle some questions, especially in the part that you're asked a question to write a formula. Then a formula in a cell B2 or in a certain cell, if it's copied to another cell, how will that formula be? That is my intention in this lesson of today. So I want to follow this tutorial to the end so that to be able to answer the questions that I shall discuss at the end of this tutorial. I want to start with cell reference, the meaning of cell reference. So I have to talk of cell reference, can also be called cell address, as a combination of a column letter and a row number that identifies a cell on a worksheet. Or somebody can say it's a combination of column header followed by the row header, which identifies a cell on a worksheet. For example, when we talk about A1, it refers to the cell at the intersection of column A and row 1. B2 refers to the second cell in column B, and so on. That is to say, this cell can be referred to as A. This is my column header A, followed by row header 1. So this cell can be referred to as A1. If we are talking about a cell here, it is column A, followed by the row header 3, so the cell can be referred to as A3. If it's a cell here, it can be referred to as B2, because we have column B and row 2, so it is B2. So that is how we refer to cells. Let's talk about a range reference. First of all, you need to know what a range is. A range is a block of 2 or more cells. A block of 2 or more cells is what we call a range. A range reference is represented by address of a block of cells separated with a colon, and that is referred from the top left to the bottom right of the block, the bottom right of the range. For example, when we talk about a range A1 to C2, include 6 cells from A1 to C2 in my figure here. This is from A1, reference range of A1 to C2. So it is the top left to the bottom right of the range. This is the bottom right of this range, bottom right, and this is the top left of the range. So that is how it is referred, from the top left of the range to the bottom left of the range. This is the bottom left right of the range, and this is the top right of the range. So the range is A1 to C2, A1 to C2. If it was just from A1 to C2 to C1, it is a range, but it is you can see it's on a straight line. But this, if it was maybe to even D6, so it could be A1 to D6. So that is the range. That will be the range. So you should be knowing how to refer to a range of cells. You start with the top left to the bottom. To the bottom bottom right of the range. So that is how you refer to ranges. Now let's talk about the types of cell references. We have 3 of them. One is relative reference. We also have what we call absolute reference and what we call mixed reference. Reference. I want to talk about relative reference. Relative reference is when a formula is copied to from one cell to another. The formula changes. A formula changes when copied from one cell to another. That is in relative reference. For example, if If you copy the formula equals to A1 plus B1 from row 1 to row 2, the formula becomes A2 equals to A2 plus B2. I will discuss this more in covering some questions on what happens to formulas when copied from one set to another. So I'm going to discuss this relative referencing better in question form. So absolute reference, when we talk about absolute reference, absolute reference remains constant when a formula is copied to another cell. That is, if you copy a formula to another cell from one cell to another, it remains constant. That is, because it's a specific address of a cell, meaning that still, even if you copy to a different cell, it shall be referring to the original cell that it was before. Yeah. For instance, and this dollar sign A, dollar sign 1, this is how we represent absolute reference. So we are referring to cell A1 using specific address, that is the dollar sign, which is absolute referencing. So A1 dollar sign A dollar sign 1, that is absolute referencing, meaning that when you copy this even to cell B8, it shall be referring to the value or to whatever is in A1. It shall be referring to A1. So that is what we call by absolute reference. Now, mixed reference is a combination of both relative and absolute reference. Let's tackle now questions on this topic. Question number 1 is that we differentiate between absolute cell referencing and relative cell referencing. When we talk about absolute cell referencing or relative cell referencing, here there is use of a formula whose reference keeps on changing automatically depending on their relative position when they are copied from one cell to another. That is, this is kind of referencing whereby if a formula is copied from one cell to another, it keeps on changing automatically depending on their relative position when they are copied. So that is, if you copy to another cell, it will change to fit into the current location that you have copied into. That is relative referencing. When we talk about absolute referencing, the cell references are specific, meaning that they are constant, they do not change when copied to another cell, i.e. the formula does not change when copied to another cell. Question number 2, if you are asked a question now, this is what I wanted us to learn specifically, that how will the formula equals to A1 times dollar sign B dollar sign 1 in D1 be in E2? In such questions, what you do in these questions, if I write the D1, I write the D1 here. I can even make something like a table. Then I write the D1 and I write here E2. Then I need to know my letters. Remember, this is from A to E. I can write the alphabets A, B, C, D, E, F, G. Yes. Now what to do in this case, I just write up to E. Now what happens here, you have to look at, this formula was in D1. It is in D1. And in D1, from D, remember it is in D here. Let me deal with the letter first. From D, it moved to A. It moved how many? 1, 2, 3 steps to reach A. 1, 2, 3 steps to reach A. Now, when it will be in E again, it will still move 3 steps backwards. It can be moving forward to the right or to the left. So from E, it will also move 3 steps to the right. I mean to the left, not to the right. To the left because it moves to the left. So it shall move 3 steps to the left also, which is 1, 2, 2, 3 to reach at B. To reach at B. So it will be B. The formula will be B. The formula, let me use a different color here. Now the formula will be B. The formula will be B. Now I think of the number. Remember, it is in D1 and the number remains 1. So meaning in E2, the number still remains 2 because there nothing changed on the number. The number did not change. If the number did not change, so it also does not change here. So it remains B2. B2. Then times. There is a times. Now, for this one, remember, this is a relative, absolute referencing. And in absolute referencing, we said it is constant. It does not change. Whichever place you copy it. So this one will not change. So it will remain under dollar. That is $sign B. $sign 1. So the formula will be this one. The formula will be this one. So A1, it was here A1. Remember to have an equal sign. Without the equal sign in Excel, that is not a formula. Formula must contain an equal sign, or a function must contain an equal sign. If there is no equal sign, then you cannot call it a formula in Excel. So it was equals to A1 times $sign B $sign 1. When copied to A2, it will be equal to B2 times $sign B $sign 1. This is how the formula will be. This is how the formula will look like. This is how the formula will look like. This is how the formula will look like. So you need to note on those. So I want to do another question on the same. Let me do another question on the same. We do another question on the same. We do another question on the same. Now, assume, this is the question, is that you assume, the question is that you assume you are copying cell A1 to cell C3. You are copying cell A1 to cell C3. If cell A1 contains the formula this, that is equals to $sign B1 plus $sign C $sign 1. How would this formula change when copied to cell C3? Now what you do, you make that table like I explained. You make a table of A1 and C3. You make such a table, A1, C3. Then you understand that the formula in A1 is equals to $sign B. Remember, it's only B that is absolute, because 1 is not absolute. It does not contain a $sign, so it's not absolute. It is $sign B. 1 is not absolute. It is relative. Then plus $sign C, $sign C, $sign 1. Remember, both are absolute, so this will not change. So the next will start with an equal sign. It will start with an equal sign, so it will be equal to. Now you see it was in A1. Remember, this B will not change, so it will be $sign B, because it will not change. It will be $sign B. B will not change. Let us look at 1. The number, it was 1, 1. So 1, 1, meaning the number did not change. So meaning when at C3 the number will not change. It will be B3 because the number will not change. It will be 3. B3, the number will not change. And then plus $C $1. So this will not change. So it will be plus $. Anything with the $sign does not change. $, $C, $1. So this is how the formula will be in C3. Remember the number, it's only the number that is changing here. It's only the number that is what? That is relative, meaning it can change. So you look at the number here, it was A1 and the number remained 1. And now here is C3, the number will remain 3. So it is $B3 plus $C $1. So that is how the formula will be in C3. That's how it will look like when copied to C3. Let's do another question on the same. We do another question on the same. We do another question on the same. We do another question on the same. If I take another question on the same here, if I take another question on the same, that's question number 4. The formula equals to A1 plus C2 is initially typed in cell D1. This formula was initially typed in cell D1. What will it be when copied to cell E1? Now what you do, you make that such a table like I have explained from above. You make the table. The table is D1, and E1. You make the table is equal to this formula equals to A1 plus C2. How will it be when copied to E1? So it must start with an equal sign. Now you look, like I said, you write your letters somewhere there, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, such like. So you realize that D, let's start with the first one. D moved to A. D moved to A. From D to A, move down many steps? 1, 2, 3. So that means at E, you will also move 3 steps backward. At E, you will also move 3 steps backwards. 1, 2, 3 to get at B. So the formula must be equal to B equals to B. Then you look at the number, it was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So that means when at B, when 1, 1, meaning when at E also, E1, the number will not change. It will be equal to B, then 1. B1. Then there is a plus, this plus, this plus. Now you deal with the C. You deal with this, the next, that step. It was D to C. So from D moved to C. It moved to C, it moved 1 step. So meaning at E, it will also E move 1 step backward to D, to get to D. What about the number? The number from 1 to 2, it added, there was an addition of 1. From 1 to 2, there was an addition of 1. There is an addition of 1. So meaning, here, there will also be an addition of 1, so it becomes 1 plus 1 is also 2, so it becomes D2. So the formula, this in E1 will be B1 plus D2. It will be B1 plus D2. Okay, let me do another example on the same. Let me assume you have a question like, let me manipulate this same formula, equals to A. Remember there is no dollar sign, so that means all of them changes. If it was A, A3, 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 A3 plus, assume it was plus, A3 plus A3 plus plus F plus F4. This same formula was in this cell D1. How would it be when in cell E1? How would the formula be in cell E1? Now, you look at here, at D1, at D, deal with the letter first. So at D, it moved how many steps to A? 1, 2, 3 steps to A. 1, 2, 3 steps to A. So meaning at E, it's also move 3 steps backwards from E1 to 3 to get at B. So it will get at B. So the formula must be, we start with an equal sign, then B, then what about the letter, the number 1 to 3? So 2 has been added, meaning also here at 1 we shall also add 2 to get 3, B3. It will be B3 plus. Now you look at the next step. I'm dealing with this one. The next step from D to F, from D to F. Now I'm dealing with forward. I'm moving forward. How many steps? 1, 2, meaning 1, 2. So at E I also move 2 steps ahead. 1, 2. I'll reach at G. So it will be a plus G. Then I look at the number from 1 to 4. 3 has been added. Now from 1 again, we also add 3 to get 4. So the formula will be, while in E1 it would be B3 plus G4. B3 plus G4. So that is how we deal with this theoretically. That's how we deal with this theoretically. But if you do practically, you're able to see it without struggle. But this is a challenge mostly for students to realize this theoretically. If you approach this an exam theoretically, some students get a challenge in doing it. So that is how you do it. And I hope that you've understood the concept, that if you are given such a question in an exam, you will not have stress answering it, and you will be able to do it as it is required and get the answer, the correct answer. And get the correct answer. And get the correct answer. Now, that is the end of my tutorial. I ask you that you remember to subscribe for me. I'm Mwalimu Ogeke, and thank you for listening to my tutorials. Thank you for listening to my tutorials.